Okay, for this assignment, I'm just gonna have to show you how each one of these works, what the question's asking, and then you follow. I'm gonna, help you get started on it, and then I want you to pause it and try the problem, and then you go back and watch and see what I did, make sure you did it right. Okay, so this question is saying to describe the error in factoring the polynomial. So let me make it bigger. Okay, so she's got, or the person that did this, n squared minus 64 is following, n squared minus b squared. Well, n squared minus b squared is the pattern that you follow would be, it wouldn't be that. It would be n plus b, or I'm sorry, that's 8. It's kind of hard to see. N plus 8 times n minus 8, because this is a difference of two perfect squares. So n squared is perfect squared, 64 is perfect squared. So the square root of 64 is 8. So it's n squared minus 8 squared. Then you split it up and you put the n, this part right here, you put it here and here. Then you go plus and minus, and then you take the 8 and you put it here and here. So to see what the error is, let's see. It says some of that stuff. Okay, so it says the factoring should follow the difference of two squares pattern, and that's this one. So that's what we wanted for that one. Okay, and then that is just correct the error, and then it's just n plus 8 times n minus 8. Okay, number 2. Here, the pattern for y squared minus 6y plus 9, this is the other, special product that we learned yesterday. So y squared minus 6y plus 9. If you look, y squared, that's a perfect square. 9 is a perfect square. And then to check to see, if this is a perfect square trinomial, you see if the middle one is 2 times y times 3. Okay, so now what I told you was that if it's a perfect square trinomial, we're just going to do this. It's going to be a binomial squared. So we put the square root of the first one here. That minus sign goes right there. And then the square root of 9 goes there. And then you check to see if the middle term is 2 times 3 times y. 2 times 3 times y. Or 2, here it has 2 times y times 3 in that order. So anyway, this whole thing is right, but then this is wrong, because this is what you would do if it was a difference of two perfect squares. And it's not. It's a perfect square trinomial. So this is the square trinomial, okay? And then the difference of two perfect squares is just a binomial, like the first one. So see the difference. We've got that number 1 is n squared minus 64. So that's a binomial with 2 terms. And then number 2 is a trinomial. Y squared minus 6y plus 9 is 3 terms. So it's a trinomial. Okay. And then, so modeling with mathematics, the area in square centimeters of a square coaster can be represented by d squared plus 8d plus 16. So they're telling you right off the bat that that's square. So first it says write an expression that represents the side length of the coaster. So what they're saying is you've got your coaster, all sides are equal because it's square. If you factor that d squared plus 8b plus 16 into a binomial squared, then that's going to give you the length and the width, or each side length of that coaster. So pause it and factor that d squared plus 8d plus 16. I'm going to go ahead and do it, and you can check after. So I take the square root of the first one, d squared, the square root of that is d. There's a plus in the middle term, so it's plus. The square root of the last one, square root of 16 is 4. So it goes right there. And then, of course, 2 times 4 times d gives you 8d. So that means that each side is going to be d plus 4. Okay. And then if you want the perimeter, you've got 4 of those. So you're just going to multiply 4 times d plus 4. And that gives you 4d plus 16. So make sure you are pausing and trying these after just a little bit. You can, if you're not sure where to pause, just play it for a little bit and then pause it. Oh, wait, she's going to show me the answer. So pause it and do it. Or if you actually get to where I show you the answer, then you can, back it up a little bit. Okay. That's number 3. Next page. Another modeling with mathematics. It's hard to see up there, so I'm going to write it here. What that equation is. Area equals x squared minus 30x plus 225. Okay, so it says write a polynomial that represents the side length of the playground. So right here, it tells you that that's a square playground. So that tells us that that's a perfect square trinomial. So it's just going to be a binomial squared. So pause it and see if you can factor that into a binomial squared. I'm going to go ahead and do it. Square root of x squared is x. The minus goes in the middle. Square root of 225 is 15. So side length is x minus 15. Perimeter, we just multiply 4 times x minus 15. And that gives us 4x minus 60. Okay. Number 5. Okay, this is, so all through this whole assignment, you've got these special products, factoring special products. So we're looking at a difference of squares. The difference of squares is going to be 2 terms. So make sure you have, we'll just make a little note here. So the 2 patterns. So if it's a binomial, we want difference of squares. 2 terms, so that's difference of squares. And that one's going to be a squared minus b squared is a plus b times a minus b. Okay, if it's a trinomial, 3 terms, it's going to be a perfect square trinomial. Trinomial. That's what that says. And then, so that's, let's see, I'll say a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And then that factors to be a binomial squared. So a plus b squared. So that's the difference in those 2. Oops, I gotta, there we go. Okay, so this one is a binomial. So that one's going to be your difference, difference of two perfect squares. So, excuse me, kind of funny, the shorter one, to begin with, the binomial becomes the longer one once you get it factored. So the square root of z, so this is going to be z squared minus 2 squared. So z goes here and here, plus minus 2 goes here and here. And, oh, I guess we have to finish it. Sorry. It's asking for solutions. Okay, so that equals 0. And then that just means that we've got z is plus or minus 2. So z equals plus or minus 2. And then you're going to find those in there. I'm going to show you just real quick another way to do that without factoring. So if you've got z squared minus 4 equals 0, you could add 4 to both sides. This is going to come later, so I'm just kind of planting a seed. So z squared equals 4. If you take the square root of both sides, you get z equals plus or minus 2. That's planting a seed, my dear, for the future. Okay. All right. Now, this one, you can change it back so you can factor it, or you can do what I just did. So I'll actually show you both ways. So if we're going to do the way that I just did, we can just go divide both sides by 4, and we get x squared equals 49 divided by 4. And if we square root both sides, we get x equals plus or minus, the square root of 49 is 7, square root of 4 is 2. And so those are your two answers, 7 halves and negative 7 halves. Okay, that's one way to do it. The other way, which is probably the way that they're wanting you to do it here, is to factor it, and you've got to get 0 on one side first. So that means you got to subtract 49 from both sides. So 4x squared minus 49 equals 0. And then I'm going to give myself some room. Okay, so it's a binomial, right? So we're looking at a difference of two perfect squares. So the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of x squared is x. So that first term is 2x squared. And then the second term, the square root of 49 is 7, so 7 squared. So first, let's look at factoring that. That's equal to 0. Equal to 0. Okay, so we're just going to put 2x here and here, plus, minus, 7, 7. And then use the zero product property. 2x plus 7 equals 0. So I subtract 7 from both sides, and I get 2x equals negative 7, and then divide both sides by 2. And you get x equals negative 7 halves. Here, 2x minus 7 equals 0. So I add 7 to both sides. I get 2x equals 7. And then divide both sides by 2. And I get x equals 7 halves. Number 7. What do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be a perfect square trinomial or a difference of squares? Well, it's a trinomial, so it's a perfect square trinomial. So the funny thing, this one, when you factor it, it gets smaller. So it's k, square root of the first one, square root of 64 is 8. That's a minus, so there's a minus right there. So k minus 8 squared equals 0. So this time you only have one answer. K minus 8 equals 0. If you add 8 to both sides, you get k equals 8. All right, home stretch. 3 more. Okay, there's your trinomial. So pause it, see what you can do. Then unpause it and see if you got the same answer as I did. So we have 3 terms, so it's a trinomial. So this perfect square trinomial is going to be a binomial squared. So S, and we don't like those S's. I make mine cursive. Maybe I'll go capital S. I don't know. That's weird. I guess I could just really try hard to make it look like an S and not a 5S. Okay, there's a plus in the middle. Since I know it's a perfect square trinomial, I can just take half of that. Half of that's 10. And then S plus 10 equals 0. So that means S equals negative 10. Okay, this next one you have to work a little bit first. So you have to get it equal to 0 every time you have a quadratic. Excuse me. Every time you have a quadratic, if it's not equal to 0, you have to make it be equal to 0. So we got to get rid of the 6n. Whoops, not 69. 6n on both sides. So n squared minus 6n plus 9 equals 0. Okay, so perfect square trinomial is going to give me a binomial squared. So pause it and do it, and then unpause it. Make sure you did it right. N first, minus in the middle, so there's a minus, and then square root of 9 is 3. And then I can check it for sure to see. 2 times 3 times n is indeed 6n. Okay, that equals 0. And so n minus 3 equals 0. Add 3, and that means n equals 3. All right, same thing here. We got to get 0. So we're going to subtract 12y and add 36. That's going to give us 0 over there. And then if I do it on the right, I have to do it on the left. Subtract 12y, add 36. And I'm going to put this in, in order here, right? So it's going to be y squared minus 12y plus 36 equals 0. So that's a trinomial, perfect square trinomial, we hope. Would be a y, and then minus in the middle. Square root of 36 is 6. And then check it. 2 times 6 times y is 12y. So we're good. So all we got to do is y minus 6 equals, get over there. Oops, sorry. Equals 0. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides and get y equals 6. Ta-da! All good. Let me know if you have questions.